The forest that became the sky. In the heart of a vast and ancient forest, there stood a great oak tree. Its branches stretched wide and its roots twisted deep beneath the soil, holding the stories of centuries. Birds nested in its arms, moss cradled its base, and sunlight filtered gently through its leaves. But one evening, as the wind carried the first breath of autumn, the oak began to lean. Its roots, weathered by time and softened by rain, loosened their grip on the earth. With a slow and graceful sigh, the great oak fell, its branches brushing against nearby trees before resting gently on the forest floor. The forest grew quiet, as if paying its respects. But there was no grief in the stillness, only the soft hum of what was to come. Where the oak had once stood, sunlight now poured through the open canopy, warming the ground for the first time in decades. The soil, rich and undisturbed beneath the fallen tree, began to breathe. Seeds that had waited patiently in the shadows stretched toward the light, their small shoots curling up from the earth. Ferns unfurled, and tiny wildflowers crept along the oak's fallen trunk. The forest whispered to itself, "Where one life rests, many awaken." The oak's fall was not an end, it was a beginning, a quiet invitation for new roots to take hold. As seasons passed, rainwater pooled in the hollow left by the oak's roots. Slowly, a stream began to form, winding its way through the forest. The river sang softly as it flowed, tracing paths that hadn't existed before. Birds dipped their wings into its cool surface, and deer gathered at its edges to drink. The oak's absence allowed the river to return, and with it came new life. Tiny fish glimmering under the ripples, and reeds that swayed along the banks. The forest understood something the world often forgot. Destruction is not failure. It is nature's way of clearing space for something new. The fallen oak, though resting on the ground, found new purpose. Its branches became home to moss and lichen, and its bark softened to welcome small creatures that burrowed inside. But the greatest change was not on the forest floor, it was above. With the oak's towering branches no longer shading the sky, the forest could see further, beyond the treetops, beyond the clouds. Light stretched wider and stars shone brighter, as if the forest itself had grown taller. The sky became part of the forest, and in its expanse the trees reached higher, their leaves trembling with the excitement of endless possibilities. When spring returned, the forest stood fuller than before. The river carved new paths, and young saplings grew where the oak had once cast its shadow. Yet the oak had not disappeared. Its roots remained intertwining with those of the new trees, sharing the strength and wisdom it had gathered over centuries. The forest learned that nothing was ever truly lost. To fall is not to fail. It is to reshape, to feed the earth, and to rise again in a different form. The oak had simply become part of everything around it, flowing in the river, blooming in the flowers, and resting in the sky. As you lie in your bed tonight, think of the forest and the great oak. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and imagine the trees swaying gently under the stars. Let the quiet lesson of the forest remind you that even in moments of loss or change, something new is always beginning. The end of one thing is often the start of another, and like the oak, you are part of something far greater than you know. Rest now, and let the soft hum of the forest carry you into peaceful sleep.